This is how they view it. They just want anything and just not Hosni Mubarak. So they're completely against the government, yeah? But they don't see what the alternative is at the same time, yeah? So this is in regards
to the Islamic ruling system, the Khilafah, don't they see that as an alternative?
I would, for example, I didn't speak to anybody, whether they were educated or minimally educated or young or old, who said we don't want Sharia. Yeah, most people say they want Sharia. There may be some confusion as to what Sharia is. Yeah, and maybe that's what needs to be clarified further, because you have ulama who come on TV all the time, government ulama, who come on and just confuse the Muslims, just try and confuse them. Alhamdulillah, a lot of these ulama, quote unquote ulama, have been completely discredited. Yeah, as in I mean, some high profile ulama that we're aware of, yeah, they have no credibility whatsoever in Egypt. The people don't take them seriously at all. Yeah. But there is still a confusion, because there are so many different, like Egypt is very much like a melting pot of different Islamic ideas. Very, very, very much so. There's no one stream of thought. You have many different groups and different madahib and different schools of thought, etc. And it's all come together in that society. So there's like an amalgamation of all these different ideas, yeah? So there is some confusion as to what Sharia is. As in, what is it? No one would ever, well, I never spoke to anybody who said we don't want Sharia. But questions would come up like applicability, yeah? Or questions would come up in terms of what do you really mean by Sharia, because Sharia is applicable for all times and places, but maybe they misunderstand that to mean that you can change it and this type of thing. So there is this kind of confusion. But in saying that, the biggest supported group in Egypt is an Islamic group. Now this group may be a bit confused in terms of what they do and how they try to go about it, but they call for Sharia in however they understand that. And yet they have the biggest support in the country. Yeah? So this is a strong indication that the people want Islam. Yeah? The people want Islam, but they're just not 100% sure. And this group, for instance, they're not very clear on how they're going to achieve it. They're not really clear on what they really mean by Sharia at the same time. Yeah? But that said, that even, for example, there are organizations in America who, obviously, like we all know, hate Muslim organizations, yeah, especially ones who call for Sharia. They're saying that we have to have them in the next elections. You have to let this group run in the elections, because they're illegal there. Because you have to let them run in elections, otherwise the elections will have no credibility, because the bulk of the Egyptian street, as they call it, supports this group. Yeah? And this is after years and years and years of being attacked and Islam being, confused in the minds of the people. People still want Islam. But I will say there is a confusion as to what Islam is.
Jazakallah khair. That's enough questions from me. Are there any questions, inshallah, from the floor to Brother Jamal? Let's go fire away, inshallah. No, you. Second row.
So you said you were going to say a story about the son of the thing.
It's not really about him. It's just
the appetite now.
Basically, it was funny because my name is Jamal, yeah. And the brother I was with, his name was Ala, which I'll come back to. And another brother I was with was called Mubarak. And Ala, just obviously like you know now, Jamal Mubarak is one of the sons of Hosni Mubarak. And Ala Mubarak is another son of Hosni Mubarak. So we were in class, and the teacher, obviously, we're sitting perfectly as well, yeah, in perfect order, yeah. What's your name? He goes, my name's Ala. He goes, what's your name? My name's Jamal. What's your name? My name's Mubarak. And she's like, and then I said, yeah, and I said to the teacher, yeah, Hosni's coming later. She goes, A'udhu billah, yeah. Allah protect us from that, yeah. So that's just a little side point that came to my head. But we used to get that all the time.
I went to Syria a few years back to study Arabic as well with Andad. And when we went to Syria, we saw a lot of Islamic history. So you see the Umayyad Mosque. It reminds you of the greatness of Islam that was there. The grave of Salahuddin Ayyubi, yeah? And again, that reminds you of the greatness of the personalities we had in Islam. Did you see anything in terms of history and symbols and relics left over, like mosques and madrasas in Egypt, which reminded you of the great history of Islam?
Unfortunately, it took me. I'm really not computer savvy. I tried to send him. I had more pictures, but anyway, I got confused. I don't know how to send it. Yeah, I got some nice pictures. One of the places that we went and visited was Al-Azhar, which we were all aware of. Yeah, and although Al-Azhar now is a bit controversial in terms of what it's about now, but Al-Azhar has an absolutely unbelievable history, yeah, in terms of ulama that have come from there. And obviously it's the second oldest university in the world, Yeah, it has a long history and it's a beautiful place, really, really beautiful place. Yeah, so I went and visited that, and you can. I know it sounds a bit cliched here, but you can sense the greatness of the place in the sense that it's very much like it's like an open, really like, you know, the old Arab style, open courtyards. Yeah, so you can like almost feel like you feel very small in this place. You feel very, very tiny in this place. It's like a really big courtyard and the mosques around like that. Yeah, and it's very, very big. So we visited that place. I visited the what's it called, well, I never actually, strictly speaking, I passed the castle of Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, obviously from where they fought the Crusaders. Egypt, I went to the mosque of, they call it Masjid Hussein, basically, and this is where I get confused between the masjid in Syria and the masjid in subhanallah, in Cairo. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah. The body of Hussein is in this masjid, yeah, and the head is in.
As it is in so many different places as well, apparently.
Really? No, but I heard the head is in Syria.
In Syria,
and
yeah.
The body is in. Allah Alam. Anyway, I visit this place, but I say actually what I noticed in terms of about the greatness of our history, yeah, is actually talking to the people. What I noticed, yeah, is I really do think Egypt, Allah Alam, but I think Egypt will have has a big role even future-wise as well, because you know you do sense there is a bit of pride about the people. They look back on their history. I mean, when I was studying a little bit of Egyptian history, and Egyptian history is absolutely amazing. I mean, we're talking not just talking hundreds of years, we're talking even thousands. Anbiya, we know Musa alayhi salam, obviously in Egypt, yeah. We know Ibrahim alayhi salam also passed by Egypt. We know that many Anbiya, Yusuf alayhi salam, ruled over Egypt, yeah. So it has a history from our Anbiya, our prophets. But then our Khulafa, and we have examples of like amazing leaders from who were from Egypt. Amazing. I read one story about a alim, a scholar. His name was Al-Azz bin Abd salam, yeah, rahimahullah. Absolutely amazing man. Absolutely amazing. This guy, he was like, just a quick story about this man. He started, you know, this gives us all hope, by the way. You know, he started seeking knowledge at the age of 29. Before that, he was a layman. He didn't know anything. And you know what? It's an interesting story. I learned it when I was in Egypt. He basically, one night, he had, let's say, I don't know what the scientific word is. He had a wet dream, let's say. Yeah, I'll just use the finctum. And he said he got up and he obviously went to do a ghusl, but there was only freezing cold water. So he did it. And then he went back to sleep. And then same thing happened again. Yeah, so then he went and did the ghusl again. Again in freezing cold water. And the third time, yeah, he's like thinking, I'm going to die. Yeah, because imagine it's freezing cold and no hot water or anything, and you're outdoors, yeah, you know, maybe in some little, I don't know, small barn or something like this, yeah, and he did it a third time, yeah, so he came back, and then the man, one of his companions, asked him, why do you keep on going to the shower? He said to him, obviously I need to purify myself, yeah. He goes, don't you know that if it's damaging to your health, yeah, if you could damage yourself, yeah, then you can actually do tayammum instead. You don't actually have to do a ghusl with water if you're going to damage your health. And he was so angry at himself that he didn't know that. He said, you know, I'm going to seek knowledge. Yeah, and he sought knowledge to such an extent that he became, they call him allama, like he has become the teacher of the ulama. Yeah, he reached such a level, and he started seeking knowledge, I think, at the age of 29. Yeah, and this man is one of the stars of our history. Yeah, he accounted rulers, subhanAllah, the position, I would just say, this is just a summary of the guy's life, yeah. But this man spent most of his life in Egypt, or a lot of his life in Egypt, yeah. You have many ulama from historically spent their time in Egypt, yeah. Even many modern thinkers spent much time in Egypt, yeah. So Egypt, you can sense the greatness of the place when you're there, yeah, by the thoughts of the people, and you can see the history of Egypt specifically, yeah. It's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing.
Assalamualaikum. Thanks for being down to our talk, brothers, the Jamaat, giving us the info about your visit to Muslim land. You've actually spoke a lot about Palestine and so on, and the situation of the Muslims there as well. Because you've actually been in Egypt, and you actually have the first-hand experience of discussing with the Muslims, alhamdulillah. In terms of the solution for Palestine and what the Jews are offering, either two-state solution for the Muslims of Palestine, what do the Muslims of Egypt actually think about that? or the opinion?
It's a hard